The Animal Legal Defense Fund is suing Foster Farms. 5 days after the Merced County Health Department ordered plant shutdowns and a massive wave of COVID-19 testing, and 2 days after the United Farm Workers threatened a boycott, the Animal Legal Defense Fund announced its lawsuit against Foster Farms, claiming its actions are on behalf of the residents of Livingston. Greetings, everyone. This is the Gardening Snail of Livingston, California. I've been Livingston watching since at least 2007, but oh boy, 2020 looks like it could be its own curse word. But before we get into the main topic, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the red subscribe button below this video and ring the bell for future notifications. On September 2nd, 2020, the Animal Legal Defense Fund filed a lawsuit against Foster Farms. This will be a brief overview of the complaint. So here we have the page with the names of the lawyers, that it was electronically filed in Merced Superior Court, and that the attorneys for the plaintiff is the Animal Legal Defense Fund. And here we see highlighted that the City of Livingston, a California city, is the real party in interest. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I had to look this up. And basically what this means is the City of Livingston isn't suing Foster Farms about this. And a group of residents of Livingston have it band together to sue Foster Farms about this. So the Animal Legal Defense Fund has decided to step in and sue Foster Farms on behalf of the City of Livingston and its residents. In other words, they're suing for you. Now, I'm going to go mainly over the highlighted portions of this complaint and make a few comments along the way. Here it says, Foster Farms procures the water from the City of Livingston, real party in interest, which extracts its groundwater. Now, right here, I'm going to make a little side note that if Foster Farms wasn't paying what it's paying for the water, your water bill would be a whole lot bigger than what it is already. I know that because I was at meetings where this was discussed, and at the time, I don't remember seeing anybody from the animal rights people there. So let's go on. Upon information and belief, Foster Farms uses a live hang slaughter system that involves a process known as electric immobilization to paralyze chickens before slaughter. Alternative processes such as controlled atmosphere killing and controlled atmosphere stunning are feasible, available, and require significantly less water. So what it looks like is they are suing to make Foster Farms change the way they kill their chickens, and they're using water as the excuse. I didn't know what controlled atmosphere killing was, so I looked it up. This is one description. Controlled atmosphere killing, CAK, or controlled atmosphere stunning, CAS, is a method for slaughtering animals such as chickens or cane toads by placing the animals in a container in which the atmosphere lacks oxygen and consists of an asphyxiant gas, one or more of argon, nitrogen, or carbon dioxide, causing the animals to lose consciousness. This is from the PETA website, and they describe it a little bit different. They describe it as removing the oxygen from the birds' atmosphere while they are still in their transport crates. The birds are not gassed, that is, asphyxiated. They die from lack of oxygen or anoxia. During this process, the oxygen from the chicken's environment is removed and slowly replaced with a non-poisonous gas that puts the birds to sleep while they are still in their transport crates. So you decide which description you're going to believe. Foster Farms' use of millions of gallons of groundwater from the critically overdrafted Merced sub-basin is unreasonable. In a good faith attempt to resolve this matter without litigation, ALDF notified Foster Farms by a couple of different letters. I want to point out that these letters were in 2020, not in 2017 when they got water use records from the city, not 2018 nor 2019, but in 2020 during COVID. The interests of ALDF and its members have been, are being, and will continue to be harmed by Foster Farms' unreasonable, unconstitutional water use and method of water use. So my question is, why aren't they suing the water regulating agencies involved, like the Water Quality Control Board or the Groundwater Sustainability, that agency that's in charge of the Merced Subbasin? Relief sought will redress this harm by protecting the region's groundwater resources from further waste and unreasonable use by Foster Farms. Once again, we have state and local agencies for that. Real party and interest, the city of Livingston, a city of more than 14,000 people in Merced County, California. Yeah, and the irony is, but for Foster Farms water use, residents' water bills would end up much, much bigger than they already are. The court has jurisdiction, and exhaustion of administrative remedies is not a prerequisite. In other words, the court has jurisdiction, and they don't have to go through the State Water Resources Control Board or any local agency in charge of the Merced Subbasin, or even consider any plan being developed to address the subbasin's issues. It's about water waste, so there. It's only about water waste, and here's a bunch of citations on why they can do what they can do. It's only about what's reasonable and the maximum beneficial use of water, and they'll tell you what reasonable means on behalf of the city of Livingston. Here we get into a discussion of what reasonable use means. Now we're getting into less water-intensive alternatives and comparing what Foster Farms does to the killing of gophers. Here they talk about there is no property right in water purchased from a purveyor. And this sounds like you can buy all the water you want, but that doesn't mean you can use it. And the word reasonable keeps popping up again. There's that word reasonable again, and that agriculture as a beneficial use and industrial supply as a beneficial use. But here comes the big but. Agricultural use comes in second. Use of the water for the municipality is its residents for domestic purposes is the highest use. Again, I want to remind folks that, love it or hate it, but for what Foster Farms pays for their water, your water bills would be much, much, much higher than they already are. Okay, enforcing. Private parties, including public interest organizations, have standing to seek enforcement. All right. So never mind that the cities are working on addressing the water issues. We're suing because we can, and there's that word unreasonable again. And here we have a bunch of more citations. Then we get to, and you might have to endure some inconvenience to incur reasonable expenses. Okay, can you define what reasonable expenses are? Now we get into where the Merced Subbasin is and how Foster Farms buys its water from Livingston. And here it states the Merced Subbasin is critically overdrafted. No duh. That's why there is a groundwater sustainability plan. But instead of dealing with the regulators, they've decided to sue Foster Farms. And here we get into a long recitation of the problems in the subbasin, which is why there is a Merced Groundwater Subbasin Groundwater Sustainability Plan in the first place. More problems with the subbasin and talk about an expected mega drought. Merced County is currently in a moderate drought. Now, there is one thing I'm curious about. We're so close to the Merced River, I can't help but wonder if that has any impact on the subbasin. Foster Farms' unreasonable water use and method of use. Foster Farms is Livingston's largest customer, accounting for approximately 65% of Livingston's total annual water sales revenue. Yeah, that's true. And because of that, residential water rates are way lower than they would be otherwise. Now we get into things that have been known around here for years. The arsenic, manganese, and TCP issues, which, by the way, is going to cost over $16 million to fix and will be taken up during our next Proposition 218 hearing. And we get into the old wastewater treatment facility. Now we get into the 2006 cease and desist order and the construction of a new wastewater treatment plant after 2007. how the old site was to be remediated and the construction of the new plant, and how wastewater is treated and where the wastewater is discharged. How 60 to 70% of water is returned to the subbasin, and a claim that Foster Farms regularly violates its permit. Foster Farms takes drinkable water from the subbasin. Well, no, technically the water isn't really drinkable until after it has gone through a filtration system operated by the city, and that's the way it's going to be until we can scrounge up the money for a surface water system. Moving on, failing to conform to Foster Farms' permit and degrading the water of the Merced subbasin. And here we go. On information and belief, Foster Farms uses a water-intensive process called electric immobilization to paralyze chickens before slaughtering them in a live hang system, which is an unreasonable use and method of use of water. That's it. How much you want to bet it's not really about the water, it's about getting a judge to force how Foster Farms processes its chickens. Here we get into a description of the process in pretty much as gruesome a manner as possible. Here they argue that the way Foster Farms does it uses too much water, and instead they should use something like controlled atmosphere killing. They claim controlled atmosphere killing is less water intensive, less cruel, and safer for workers, and less labor intensive, better enabling workers to maintain social distance. Translation: some people may have to lose their jobs over this, but hey. And then we go down a little further and read, Foster Farms has reportedly converted to controlled atmosphere stunning at another slaughterhouse it operates. Reportedly. Which, by the way, it was part of a plant expansion of a plant in Louisiana that Foster Farms bought from Pilgrim's Pride. Private Attorney General Doctrine. Okay, I'm not a lawyer. I had to look this up, and it means basically a private attorney can sue for things of public interest and collect fees for doing so. Never mind of public agencies that are already working on solving the particular problem. They can still sue anyway. First, count for relief. Foster Farms water usage is unreasonable because in large part of the way they kill their chickens. Now, nowhere in this complaint did they state exactly how many gallons they estimate is being used on the killing of chickens. They just say in large part. Maybe I missed it. Let me know if I did. Next, Foster Farms returns a lower quality of groundwater to the subbasin. California is in a drought, and the water that Foster Farms uses is sourced from the Merced subbasins, which is a critically overdrafted groundwater basin. No, duh. That is why there is a Merced Subbasin Groundwater Sustainability Agency and a Merced Subbasin Groundwater Sustainability Plan, and the city of Livingston is in talks with the Merced Irrigation District to develop a surface water project. Foster Farms' use of water far exceeds that of other local users. It alone constitutes more than 60% of Livingston's water use. Foster Farms' water use has negative secondary impacts on water resources. Foster Farms' use of water for electric immobilization is an unreasonable water use and method of use. So never mind that Foster Farms pays a large part of the cost of maintaining Livingston's water delivery system, and residents would be shouldering a much larger portion otherwise, and there is already an agency involved in reducing overall issues with the subbasin, and the city is working towards using surface water. It's because they feel Foster Farms' method of killing chickens is unnecessarily cruel and just happens to use too much water. Everyone is suffering because Foster Farms is using more than its fair share of water. Here is what the Animal Legal Defense Fund wants the judge to do. Declare that Foster Farms' daily consumption of millions of gallons of water is unreasonable in violation of the California Constitution. Declare that Foster Farms' use of potable water for electric immobilization of chickens is an unreasonable method of use in violation of the California Constitution. Issue an order enjoining, in other words, preventing, Foster Farms' unreasonable use and method of use of groundwater. In other words, make them switch to the other method of killing chickens. Award costs and fees to the ALDF and order any other relief that the court deems just and proper. Signature page. Verification page. Well, that's it. Feel free to go over it again, stop it where you need to read the details, and then make up your own mind about what the real purpose of this lawsuit is. If you're subscribed to the channel already, you might want to check and make sure you're still subscribed so you're notified whenever a new video goes live. And subscribe if you're new. Until next time, this is the gardening snail of Livingston, California, because not every critter is hiding under a rock.